So in this video, we're taking a look at what to do when you have to solve for something that's inside of the rate parentheses here. So in this case, what we're going to have to do is first just kind of clean this up a little bit and say, okay, well, we know that 4 times 5 is really 20. So let's just go ahead and take care of making this an exponent of 20. Now, again, remember the idea here is that even though this is the variable right here in red, we have to kind of treat it as a single unit so long as it's in the parentheses. So that really means that this entire box right here in red is what we need to isolate and get by itself first. So I'm going to just color this whole thing red and remind us that that's what we need to get by itself, this red box. So the first thing I can see is there's a multiplication going on and there's an exponent. When you're solving an equation, you're going to always take care of the order of operations backwards. Normally you would deal with exponents before multiplication, but because we're solving, we're going to divide because that's the inverse operation of multiplication, and we're going to divide by the 4,000 on this side. But because we're dividing by 4,000 on this side, that means we have to come over here to the left side and do the exact same thing. So grabbing my calculator and seeing what this is real quick, 5,387.42 divided by 4,000, I got 1.346855. Now that's a lot of decimal numbers right there, but again, I'm capturing as much as I can to keep my calculations accurate. Okay, over here on this side, it's just going to cancel out. So that's pretty straightforward. So now what I'm left with is this red box with the exponent. So I can say this is 1 plus r over 4, still raised to the 20th power. So now the next thing that I need to do is say, okay, I'm a little bit closer to getting r by itself, but the order of operations that I now have, so if I take this r's right here, but the parentheses makes it one big gigantic box, that box needs to get by itself, so that means I need to get rid of the exponent 20. One of the strategies that we learned in this unit was to undo an exponent. We can just wrap both sides of the equation in parentheses. Then we take 1 over whatever the exponent is on both sides, 1 over 20. So now, if I take this number 1.346855 and raise it to the 1 over 20 power, I get that that is 1.015. So notice the decimal is actually going to get shorter here. So this gave me 1.015, the entire left-hand side. So this just turns into that. Then we get equals, and now the reason we did this was so that we can get rid of the exponents. So as a reminder, this 20 is just going to cross out with this 1 over 20 right here. So now we're going to be left with 1 plus r over 4. If fractions bother you, again, another strategy that we learned was that to get rid of a fraction, you could just wrap every single term that's being added and subtracted in parentheses and multiply by what's on the bottom of the fraction. So times 4 on every single one of these. So if I multiply this by 4 on my calculator, I get a pretty long answer here. So actually 1.015 times 4. Okay, that makes better sense. So I got 4.06 and then equals 4 plus r. So now I can see I just have to subtract the 4 on both sides, and I'm left with r right here, and it's equal to 0.06. Now as a reminder, r is your annual percentage rate in a compound interest problem. So in this case, what we're actually finding out is that the annual percentage rate was 6%.